Well, this is Interstellar Radio. Today's day is January 5th, 2020. All right, we have retro greetings.
Greetings.
All right, wherever you'd like to begin.
Well, the
Was
first
it?
topic.
Yeah,
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Baghdad
yeah,
and Iran.
yeah,
We need to
yeah.
take a look.
Whatever you like to. Yeah, because there's a bombing there in Baghdad. Iran's getting the blame for it.
Okay. Um. So Baghdad and Iran can claim for the attack. Um. The feeling I'm getting is actually more. It's not as much to do with Iran. But it is kind of an inside job.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't think the U.S. actually intends to go to war per se.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more to get in line.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoping that Iran will. It's kind of more like a recognition contest, what I'm gathering.
Mm.
So now that things have been pinned on Iran, even though really it had more to do so with. I don't know that the U.S. for example, but the U.S. knows about it. They know who did it. They know
Mm.
the context of it. The government
Mm-hmm.
does.
Mm-hmm.
At least the shadow government does.
Mm-hmm.
So I see it as more of like a manipulation to make Iran look unpopular, so that they get in line, of course. I do not see U.S. nationals involved with this. I do see some people that are tangentially connected to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
doing this. Mostly people of Middle Eastern descent.
Mm. It's
And again, there is a very colored paper trail there, but
mm-hmm.
it's there. There's all kinds of agencies and public agencies that are involved as well, transferring resources and communication.
Yeah, it's money related.
Mm-hmm.
Moving money
Yeah,
gives the media something to do.
it's also there to, what I see, try to get the consensus back into things. They should go back into Iraq a bit more, especially
Yeah,
under the order of Iran, because you want to,
yeah.
we want to intimidate Iran, or our government wants to intimidate Iran, not us, not people.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think Iran, the government, is even involved. It just
No,
getting the blame for it.
right?
Jeez. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just
What I do see, there might be some. Sorry, there's some involvement there.
mm-hmm.
Sorry, I drink went down the wrong tooth.
That's okay. That's okay.
But it's more of an individual basis. It could be
Mm-hmm.
more of It's not the Iranian government; it's maybe more individuals inside of Iran. That are doing this.
Yeah, I keep feeling money being. I guess money was moved because somebody was paid off to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Yeah. And now this whole thing blew up, and well, it's an embassy that got attacked. I feel like the embassy was also a sitting duck too. It was an easy target. Energy I get from it. That's what I feel from it. That's what I feel from it, at least. Baghdad.
Yeah. What I see is that. Hold on a second. This guy name is Soleimani. He thought they intended to attack.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like he was kind of yes, intending to lead an attack on the government and the U.S. government. I do see him kind of working in a shadow organization, but it was again a puppet organization. It was kind of manipulated. Um, like some of them might have been the victims of a psychological alteration. To think that they were attacking the U.S. and they are, but it's a tool.
Yeah.
Uh, the U.S. has their tentacles everywhere, and that's even the opposition is controlled.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted? I don't know. Is there anything else there to go into?
Um, I see there are some papers or files within that Baghdad location
Mm-hmm.
that were destroyed that were important.
Hmm.
But I'm not getting who important to who. But I do believe that if it went into the wrong hands, it would be fairly negative. I believe they had names on there, confidential information, names of suspected terrorists, that kind of thing. So I feel like there's files in there that had been destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
um, purposely almost. Only a few people knew about them though, so it's not everyone.
Yeah. Or it's just a shadow government wants to stir things up.
Yeah. Even in, the way they do it makes it look like they can get off the hook. They're not involved because, oh hey, the shadow government attacks their own nation. They wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah. 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 There is a strong shadow government presence in Baghdad, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They're there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're in like the most unlikely places you would think they'd be. Yeah,
Mm.
just stir things up. I don't know. They're not anyway. So, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't know. We're going to magic.
Magic, yes. So you said these are like the topic to bring up, and did you have any direction you want to take it exactly, or just in general?
Yeah, whatever you like to do. Yeah, I said Atlantis, witchcraft, whatever you like to, whatever you're picking up. If there's anything.
One moment. Sorry. What we call magic is really just the laws of the universe that are not always easy to explain. Magic is just kind of the way of the universe, so to speak. It's a science that is not yet entirely understood. It is things that are not easy to be seen, of course. So back in Atlantis, they had a much more in-depth information, much more in-depth understanding of what we'd call magic. But to them, it was just another kind of science. Even today, some of that magic is used uh, by even by your witches of your everyday witches, but even by your shadow governments and your secret societies, that
Mm-hmm.
magic is used. Although I feel like today's magic is what I'm getting is more psychological in nature than scientific per se.
Mm-hmm.
You have less magical engineering and more magical psychology, in a sense. Um,
Oh, we're going to more of a awareness of it, though, right? Where it's more accepted
mhm. Yes, because
eventually.
well, that's the thing because there's actually one of the hermetic principles called the mentality or the law of the principle of the mind. Everything is mind. So it starts from a mind type basis, and then that mind is actuality. So you're playing with everything being mind. So everything that exists is in the mind of God, so to speak. Um, so of course it branches out from the more of the psychological knowledge to even a vague manifestation knowledge to eventually becoming what we might call hard science. It's just claiming that knowledge. We're kind of facing a different form of magic as we speak right now. Um, like your witchcraft is a much more basic form of magic compared to what may have been around during the times of Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
It is all a understanding of the laws of magic.
Yeah, we're going to I don't know, just the Druids. They have a lot of magic in their energy. Well, a lot of buildings are built with magic energies, you can say.
Mm-hmm.
Masons. Um,
Yes, although even that is created within natural laws that can be explained, even if we do not quite understand it at this level of our scientific abilities, our scientific understanding. Even these magical buildings can be explained in a sense. Um,
Here, I'm gonna send this to you. It's kind of like this came up yesterday. I'll Skype it to you.
okay.
It's St. Patrick's Cathedral. Why don't you look that? Well, just look up that term
Okay.
and see what you get from. Jeez, it's spooky. The structures of these what's look like castles. I don't know if it's all.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? It's all.
Hmm. Yes, I see it. I see what you mean. It reminds me of the one of the castles in Disneyland or Disney World
Yeah,
that you showed me.
yeah. So I guess it's in New York City, but they have a couple of them around.
Mm-hmm.
But man, they're just the vibration of. I guess it's Archon. It's scary looking.
Yeah, it is. It's.
No, what do you get from it or anything?
I do see the Archon. Yes. Actually, it is largely Archon. It is not all negative, but it is a
Mm-hmm.
bit more difficult to comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling I get from it, at least in the inside, is more of a almost parental
Mm-hmm.
vibration. It is not so detached.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a kind of warmth to it. It's not a warmth that you would necessarily trust. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's angelic energies in the inside of it, but
yeah, that I would say too. That it definitely is a mix of the angelic and archonic.
just the structure design of it is just spooky.
Hmm.
I mean, what do you think it's? I mean, besides, I don't know, what does it feel like it's pulling in? Just, or you already said it. I mean, just
I feel it's more like a portal.
yeah.
It's bringing things into. It's bringing the influence in. It is bringing more of the archon influence into our world.
It's a doorway. I mean,
Yeah.
almost feel like the energy I get from like at least there's a whole bunch of different versions of it, but it's almost like one that's downtown. I guess it's New York.
Mhm.
I almost visualize like all the buildings around it are gone, and it's just that building by itself. That's
Mhm.
kind of weird, but just it's like it's in its own reality in some ways.
It does feel like that actually. I would say I do feel like there are antennas to it in a sense.
Yeah.
The two towers.
Yep.
Although I feel more like the actual channel or the portal, which is being kind of maintained by the towers, most often the towers itself acting as portals.
Yeah. There's something at the top of those towers, but I don't really see what it's at. I don't know what it is.
I'll take a look at that one moment. Crosses? It looks like, yes.
Oh, really? Hmm.
Yes, it looks like a cross. Um,
Okay.
and again, it would work as a portal icon for the crossing between two worlds. So that does kind of have that energy to it. Across time and space, and it brings its energy. And in it, it's not just a particular part of the church that has energy. The whole church is a portal.
Hmm.
Even down to the stone, it has the energy, both angelic and archonic.
Hmm.
But I would say mostly archonic.
Do you feel that so many different time versions of it? Or maybe it's all mostly New York. I don't know what.
Yes, the one I'm looking at is in New York, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, so I feel like there's other versions all around the world,
Hmm.
but they're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
Kind of freaky looking thing. Um, this is kind of out of nowhere, out of the blue. So, this goes into the magic energy. What do you feel about Europe compared to the United States? Like a wider energy.
Within Europe.
Europe compared to the United States.
Hmm. I suppose it really depends on the region,
Yeah.
because the United States is almost as big as Europe in a sense, and Europe is comprised of several countries.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you would have to ask more based on the region. But I would say, on a general sense, Europe might be lighter.
Hmm.
It may be denser in places like Germany,
Hmm.
London, but on a general sense, it is lighter, yeah. Particularly in more the rugged parts of Europe, like Spain, Scandinavia, the Balkans.
I think was it Belgium? I think they have a lot of Illuminati presence there.
I hmm,
Yeah.
not particularly in Belgium,
Well, maybe it has
but it may
people in
have a
there.
base in it. What's that?
Might have had it start there.
Yeah,
Well, it's Brussels. That's what I'm
I
thinking.
would say that Belgium feels a bit too much disorganized to be controlled by the Illuminati, particularly because Belgium is kind of split in different groups. It the French-speaking people and the is it Belgian or Dutch? I think it's Belgian. I'm not entirely sure. Uh,
I
but
think
it feels a bit too disorganized and a bit too quiet to be controlled by the
I think
Illuminati.
yeah, Brussels. I think is.
Yes, part of Brussels is, but
There's a presence there, that's for sure. Let's put it that way.
it's the presence, yes. But I feel like as far as a working presence, I would look
Mm,
more towards Germany, France, and maybe
mm-hmm.
Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say Belgium has a very dense energy to it, not
Mm-hmm.
particularly. Um, that's just the thing I'm getting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, I would have to say that it really depends on where you're coming from in the US or Europe to say where it is denser or lighter. But I would say on average, the US is probably more dense,
Yeah.
just because it's the way the federal government works there. Because of the digitedness, the digitedness and the general history had been a bit more heavier or dense. Um, like the world wars in Europe, yes, it had a negative impact, but still has slavery and segregation and the removal of Native Americans. That's much more recent and much more lasting, I would say.
What vibe you get from the United Nations? The United Nations.
The United Nations, I see. I get the same sort of archonic, angelic mix to the United Nations,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it is controlled in a sense.
Yeah.
It is not quite at its full power.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of controlled by. See, I see there's lots of influences within the UN, but although the external mask of it looks a bit archonic and angelic, like this tower, this church does,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it does feel like it is controlled a bit by reptilians. Even some Canadians and Arcturians are there too, but there's also some reptilians there. Like, isn't it true that the what's the position called? Like, in Saudi Arabia, they got a position on there as like a humanitarian position or something. I don't know what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something like that.
Uh, something that Saudi Arabia wouldn't really have any business being in. Well, that's obviously control there. It's kind of being taken down and locked down on actually being anything efficient. It does more to slow things down than it does to help speed things up.
Yeah, United Nations there to, yeah, just as you said, yeah, not to help us evolve, help us to devolve, something like
Yeah,
that.
right. Is it your cat?
No, that was me.
Oh, okay.
No, they're sleeping. Sleeps here until summer.
Lucky.
Yeah, tell me about it.
What's that?
Yeah, tell me about it. What about I guess we can go to the drug world if you want.
Sure. Um, and then I talked about this. The only drug that I had experience with
Yeah,
with the cannabis, and
yeah, cannabis, magic mushrooms. We'll
yeah, that can
go down the list.
you can go down the list there. Um, I think cannabis is there. It's a very ancient plant, of course. But I do see it's kind of a mixed bag. It can be used for good and evil. I believe
Yeah,
that I'm getting a sense that an attack in the old days is used for war too. The smoke was used for war
hmm.
or as a
Yeah,
weapon.
I guess the Atlanteans used to smoke weed.
Mm-hmm. But it's not a purely positive or negative plant to say that it does have some positive side to it. It's one of the, Did you have any questions about cannabis though? While I'm thinking about this thing, I'm trying to get a message that it's kind of being put in and taken back out.
um, always try. What about magic mushrooms? What do you get from that?
Magic mushrooms, I see them being connected to Agartha.
Hmm.
I see them being possibly originating from Agartha, actually.
Yeah, I can see that.
They are used as they can be used as a kind of medicine,
Hmm.
much as weed can, but particularly magic mushrooms hold a much more higher, but more potent vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that magic mushroom kind of works on the emotional aspect of the mind, whereas, say, LSD can be a bit more detached. But magic mushroom, you think about even symbolically, what is a mushroom but a manifestation of a connected web of different organisms?
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of like symbolically, it is connect. It's very connected. It's very it's kind of that essence of like emotional in humanitarian connectivity. It's very it can be very dramatic, but it's used as a healing tool. Uh, it's supposed to kind of heal you and connect you to other people. So yes, I do see it coming from Agartha.
What about those that take it on a long? Like they take it every day. Does it like alter a person?
I do see they kind of become almost like a mushroom themselves in a way,
Hmm.
like a mushroom person. Of course, to say you are what you eat. So
Yep. Yep.
um, hmm.
Guess you kind of shift out of this reality if you take it too much or something. Or
Yeah, yes. I feel the goal of magic mushrooms or any kind of drug in a healthy sense is to use it to help you integrate into the reality further.
mm-hmm.
But
that
if you rely on it, it just takes you out of the reality.
yeah, that takes you out of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
What about like cannabis? People will smoke that probably every
every day.
day. What is your
Again, it can, although cannabis is not physiologically addictive, it can be habituated
mm,
in a sense. While it can be used very easily as a drug like alcohol can be, it really depends on how you use it, of course.
mm-hmm.
Uh, it's one thing with cannabis you have to go in mind with is how you use it. So if you use it too often, yes, there are some positive effects to it, but there's also a bit less of you're more disconnected with yourself. You have an ego less in a sense. You lose your ego weakened it in a sense.
Mm.
You may
Uh,
become less ambitious or less aware of the outside world. You may lose some connection with yourself.
Yeah, you become more, hey, no problem. Hey, become more just,
Hmm.
you know, lenient, I guess, docile.
Sometimes you do need that. Of course, it can be good, but it can also be. It can make it difficultly understanding your boundaries as well. Because it breaks down the ego.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you
even
don't
though you
want
might be calmer,
to. Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
lack. You're shutting down your ability to mature the person by smoking it too often. By relying on it.
Yeah, because you don't want to do anything anymore.
Hmm.
I mean, you can, but it all depends on how much you do, of course.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because it doesn't slow you down. Yeah, it slows you down. It just
Yes, you can use it
doesn't.
mindfully, of course. To help your anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But just using it habitually to the on the couch, it stops your growth. Even if you feel like you're
Hmm.
more chill or more adult, because you're able to not be anxious, you're not actually fighting the anxiety. You're just
Hmm.
pushing it back.
What about the magic mushrooms? Does that do the same thing?
Magic mushrooms, in a sense, yes, it does the same thing. Almost worse in a sense,
Hmm.
because it kind of brings you much more outside yourself. You're not even focusing on what's happening
Yeah.
externally. So you become more like a mushroom. They're more self-contained. You're more connected in some ways, just to things that are not around you. Uh, so if there are mushrooms, you may not even be the same kind of stunted as, say, a cannabis user would, but it's
Hmm.
just kind of more you're not in any kind of space around the
Hmm.
around the world. You're
I,
really just out of it if you're stuck on that all the time.
what about the? I mean, does it mushrooms make you? It speeds. I mean, you kind of go into altered state quicker than cannabis. I guess it depends on how much you take, or
Yeah.
wow.
Well, cannabis can be very gentle. Cannabis can be
Mm-hmm.
very subtle
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. It can take a long time to set in as well. So usually with mushrooms or LSD or things of that nature, you kind of understand it coming into it with the idea that you're going to be having an experience.
Hmm.
Or with cannabis, it's become much more commonplace. It's like alcohol
Hmm.
or tobacco. It is mind altering, but it's almost become more of an acceptable, normal kind of mind altering.
It's just only if you become reliant on this stuff that's what really.
Hmm.
I mean, if you're taking it here and there, it should be all right. But if you're,
Right.
a lot of people smoke cannabis every day.
Yes, you can use cannabis to help you focus on what you need to grow on to.
Mm-hmm.
It can help you calm down.
Mm-hmm.
It can help you become more expressive if you want, but it cannot be something you rely on. You have to kind of use it mindfully.
Yeah, yeah, because some people have like tumors in their brain, and they take cannabis to keep them alive.
Yeah,
So,
but even then, think about the difference between, let's say, mushrooms and alcohol, or
mm-hmm.
because cannabis can be either way. You
Mm-hmm.
can use it like alcohol and use it every day,
Mm-hmm.
or it will have a toxic effect on you, or you can use it like mushrooms. And people don't usually use mushrooms quite often. They use it with the intention of having more of an exploratory session than a
Yeah.
uh, one that shuts you down.
What about What do you feel about I know you probably had no experience with it. What about DMT? What do you feel? whatever you show from that, because that's where you meet the aliens.
Well, I do not have experience with DMT or mushrooms, but the DMT. The appearance I get from DMT is it's something that used to be more prevalent within the human body.
Hmm.
And they know that we then altered so that we'd be in the state that we're in.
Hmm.
Like even the Atlanteans themselves had less DMT than humans before then had.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back when we had even more exposure to aliens, even more exposure to the Anunnaki, we had a greater amount of DMT in our system.
That makes sense.
I do not see DMT as a precursor to experiencing alien experiences, but it is it kind of helps the body adapt to it, to adapt to different energies.
Mm.
It it kind of hold on. So that have you you're able to access higher vibrational information. You're able to reach higher vibrations, higher modes of being with DMT.
Mm.
You're able to access more information and more energy without having reached the limits. So if you have that more naturally in the system, because humans we also produce it ourselves within ourselves, it allows us to connect spiritually and receive higher vibrational information and energy. So in a sense, it helps us be much more flexible in what we can take, more resilient in what we can take energy wise. That's
So,
the feeling I'm getting.
DMT. I mean, like, so if you're an alien and like, well, what dimension does it take? Is it fifth dimension where it takes people, or where you get from that?
I'm feeling more like the sixth dimension.
Wow.
I can see some of it to be the fifth, but I'm feeling quite a bit more
Mm.
sixth dimensional energy.
I guess between 5 and 6, it all depends, or
Yeah.
it all depends what you're doing too, who you are.
hmm
So,
Because
at,
DMT can also have an angelic connection too.
yeah. So if you're taking DMT and you start seeing aliens, so I get you just appear to the alien and just appear out of nowhere, or they just pick up on your energy signature. They feel that you're there.
I believe that is sort of actually something agreed upon in the higher astral, in a sense, in higher dimensions. It is more
Mm.
because if you think about these aliens that you have encountered, they're likely to be connected to you in some way, right? They're different. They can be different versions of yourself.
Yeah.
So it's not just the idea that you're meeting some alien because you took a drug. It's you may be encountering a loved one that's in an alien form, or even a different version of yourself.
Mm.
Um, and that's why they come to you because it's easier to come to you when you're in an altered state.
Mm. Um. Well, what energy you get from? Okay, so you go from third dimension. It's all dense. It's manipulated. So
hmm
what energy you get from fourth dimension? Like, what is your perspective of a fourth dimension? Well, explaining everything, but
Fourth dimension is, from what I gather, is sort of the gateway between the third and fifth.
Okay.
When you enter the fifth dimension, it is much more connected. It's much more. It's not as limited as we have. It's not. There's not as much scarcity. There's not as much need for control as in the fifth
Yeah.
dimension. The fourth dimension is the gateway between the third and fifth.
Mm-hmm.
So the fourth dimension, from what I see, because the fourth dimension is also called the astral world, and you have different planes of it. So the higher fourth dimension can be more like the fifth. The
Mm-hmm.
lower fourth dimension, we call the lower astral,
Hmm.
and that's where we come into more contact with what we'd call demonic or negative or earthbound
Mm-hmm.
entities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, from what I gather from fourth dimension is really more at the start of a greater theme of separation.
Mm-hmm.
It is much more at the idea of identity. It is a stronger emphasis on ego than the fifth dimension.
Mm-hmm.
So you may see someone who is a higher dimensional being. You see them having multitudes, whereas someone who is a lower dimensional being, such as humans or even some lower astral beings, they may have multitudes as well, but they do have a sort of fixed identity and a bit more of a self-preserving kind of mindset. It's more flexible. It's also it's less down. It's by the rules that people who are in higher astral or higher dimensions will experience. Um, so the fourth dimension is more of a chaotic energy, but it's also more of the realm of the ego. So what I feel.
Yeah, because a lot of people that are remembering this stuff. It's a lot of it's coming from the fourth dimension, isn't it?
Hmm.
Not all of it, but when you have aliens attacking you and all that, and Men in Black, a lot of that's fourth dimension,
Yes.
and the fifth dimension's more, because people are aliens like appear and disappear in the fourth dimension, and astral commands in fourth dimension. But fifth dimension is a lot more less drama.
Right.
Yeah,
Because that's right. You have less ego attached
yeah,
in the fifth dimension than you do in the fourth dimension.
yeah. It's more, of course, not as challenging as the third and fourth, of course,
Yeah.
but
Because you do have less scarcity in the fourth than you do in the third. Because the fourth is its own sort of infinite, whereas the third is very dense and slower moving. The third dimension is much less dynamic. So of course there's even more ego and more feeling of scarcity in the third dimension than there is the fourth.
yeah, the archons play. They're mostly in at least the lower vibrational ones are in the fourth dimension,
Hmm.
part of our reality. So much of our reality was created in the fourth dimension.
Yes. Humans, from what I see, are actually fourth dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we perceive things on the third dimensional plane,
Mm-hmm.
we ourselves are fourth dimensional beings by default.
Well,
Because it,
Atlantis. Sorry, go ahead.
because the fourth dimension is the realm of like the ego and emotions. So you want to say about Atlantis? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Atlantis is more what, five dimension, six dimension at one time, maybe.
Um, at one time, yes.
Yeah, it just started to go down and down and down
Mm-hmm.
to where it no longer can exist. And it's because the structures are built in higher dimensions and they couldn't handle the third dimension. Guess that's
Right.
how you look at it.
Um, I see Atlantis being in the fifth dimension Though, of course, it is more complicated. The fact that even though Atlantis physically could have been in the fifth dimension, you only had sixth dimension people on there.
Mm.
Um, but I see it may be a bit more varied. I'm trying to understand it, but it's sort of difficult to do.
Yeah, a lot of stuff they don't want us to figure out.
What's that?
A lot of stuff they don't want us to figure out too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, um, like anything else, any manipulation, like we were talking about the drugs, like I guess even cannabis, if it's done like alcohol, too much, that is a manipulation through, you know, other beings, right? Or can be, not always, but
Yes, it can be. Again, it's what you allow inside yourself and why
yeah,
you're using it.
yeah.
Other beings, well, negative beings, they will help you suppress what they want because it puts them under their control, puts you under their control. So, if you're suppressing your emotions with alcohol, then of course you're going to get some spirit attached there.
And that's the idea, is for them to attach themselves to you so they
But,
can control
mhm.
you,
Yeah,
whatever it is that they need to do. Even they don't know. I guess.
and the more things are in your blind spot, the more they can get a free lunch off you.
Well, yeah, that's what I got from the lower dimension. Well, I guess you can call them those reptilians, call them whatever they want, or demons. Yeah, the idea is just to consume the light as much as possible.
Yeah.
Consume everybody. It doesn't matter. They don't have to have a purpose. I mean, that's their purpose. Just take it down.
Hmm.
People don't realize that. I mean, just I don't know. It might be so simplistic we can't even put our head around it. you know.
It's true. That's one thing you think that complex things are harder to put your head around, but no, it's actually the most simple things that are hard to
Yeah.
understand.
It's just darkness. Well, darkness. Well, from what I got, darkness show that they're more powerful. They're this. They're that. They're in this world they're showing their power. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, look at Australia. All that
Mhm.
weather and insulation.
Oh yeah, with that fire, you saw that
Hmm.
fire, the devil or whatever it was in the fire. You saw that, right?
I saw the feline face in the fire actually.
Oh, it's feeling interesting.
Partially feline it looks like, yeah.
What what
Um,
what do you feel from that? What is it?
Let me pull it out again because it's been a while.
Shit, that messed up my
Uh,
whole. I was
what's
looking at that. I was looking at that on a live stream. Messed up my whole stream.
that?
Yeah, literally, I had to do another one because it had a video playing on the page, and it was recording the video. I mean, I wasn't even looking. I left the tab open, I think, but it was recording. So when I was talking, you can hear the video talking too. It's weird.
Are you
And
talking about the one you sent? Hold on.
yeah, the face and the fire. Yeah,
Yeah, I
interesting.
see kind of the feline face, but I don't see much of the ears, the feline ears.
But you feel a feline presence there, though, right? Jeez.
Kind of, yeah. Um, I see the muzzle there. It feels like Zeta and feline, but
It's just a manipulation. What do you think it's? What do you feel the?
um, I'm sorry, what's that?
Or what do you think the manipulation of fire? What is to think the
What do I think there?
about the
Um,
fire in Australia? What do you think about it? Yeah? What do you get from that?
have you heard of the concept? I think it's called a healing crisis. Um, Basically that's kind of the feeling I get from that. It's a healing crisis,
Hmm.
where you're not able to fully let go of what you're healing from. So even though the fire may be trying to clear out all the stagnant vibrations, it's sort of like there's more fuel being added onto the fire, and it's hard to let it go. So you're stuck in this kind of constant state of upset, in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
and it's being manipulated to do this way. So what I can compare it to is someone that's in a healing crisis. They understand their feelings are going through that they can't let go of it,
Yeah.
and it's being kind of pushed into that way and manipulated that way.
Yeah, it's similar to what's going on in Amazon. The fires there.
The Amazon feels different. Um, oh, I feel like it's much more resilient than
Yeah.
Australia right now.
Well, it's less populated there too. I mean, it's just the Amazon forest, not
Yeah,
So like Australia's really
of course. But also the fires are not just affecting, the area where the fire is at. You had the smoke and the
yeah.
harsh air, making it hard to breathe.
Mm,
And it's affecting cities, even in New Zealand, it's being affected by it. Even though that's, what is it, 2,000 kilometers away? There's
so
still pictures of New Zealand where it's have a kind of that yellow sky from the smoke from the fires.
yeah,
Um,
150 fires, I guess.
yeah, so it's not just affecting Australia. It's just more the Well, I'm feeling it's just kind of being taken and pushed into a more extreme limit than I was meant to be. So it's consuming Australia in a sense. It's kind of consuming
Yeah.
energy there. It's a healing crisis, is what I'm getting from it.
Yeah, I mean Australia's pretty yeah, it's got issues.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? And that's where the fire comes from, yeah.
Hmm.
It's not well, it's easy. It's not that easy to confront,
Right.
inner conflict. I mean, I think New Zealand's probably the more positive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Australia's yes and no.
Hmm.
Australia, I guess, can be pretty bad. I guess the energy I'm getting from it. I guess it all depends.
True, but also Australia doesn't get as much. So the U.S. is bad, right? Or has that energy to it.
Yeah,
Everyone in another knows that, unless they're in denial. But Australia doesn't really get as much recognition. It doesn't really get much energy flow in and out, except with some of the Asian neighbors are in the
yeah,
England or New Zealand.
mm,
It's not as well connected in that sense energetically to the rest of the world. Um, the energy has less place to go. It feels like
mm,
it's whereas the United States it's out there, it's known, it's addressed in a sense. I believe they said one time how cities, like even small cities, can be worse than larger ones because larger ones get all the attention.
yeah,
That's what I'm feeling the same kind of effect that Australia has.
mm,
It the kind of small city that's burning down, even though the big city is just as bad but has more attention.
yeah. Mm. Interesting. I don't know. Just
uh,
all right. Is there anything else before we wrap up?
let me check to see if there's one last thing. I do not have anything to bring up this moment. Is there anything you want to bring up real quick?
No, that's. Do you want me to see if there's any messages for you or anything, or
Sure.
if you're let's see, yeah, you're healing a lot of the Zeta connections you've had in the past. They do show that you were kind of trapped in a prison as a Zeta at one time, but you found a way out, but it took forever.
Hmm.
Yeah, because yeah, I think we already talked about it. You always seem to know too much. So I think it's a reptilian ship. that you were trapped on, and you found a way out eventually. They like put you on a ship to keep you occupied till they figure out what to do with you or something.
Hmm.
But I think you escaped. You called for help too. I do see felines helping you, sort of.
Yeah.
Iffy on that. It's like we don't know if we want to get involved with that.
I do feel like I had some positive connection to the Lyran theater lines.
Yeah.
That's one I really felt connection to. It's Lyra.
Well, as a Zeta, you traveled around with other Zetas on a ship, but sometimes you'd go on your own,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when sometimes you get in trouble. It doesn't happen very often, but like you go on your own, and like reptilians would be like watching you, like hidden and secret. It's like we're waiting for them to go on vacation so we can nab them. Something like that. I mean, they weren't like torturing or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
They just wanted information out of you, and then you found it to be a little bit more difficult than they thought it would be. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet those Tillings are still around here, so probably.
Something like that. Yeah, in that area you're in, yeah, there's some of that there. You might
Mm-hmm.
get a sense of that. They're just kind of pissed off. It's like, why don't you? Because they're still looking for information from you even now. So,
And then, good luck.
yeah, good luck even if you can't remember.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right.
Blessings.
Much love, everyone. Have a great night. Take care.